extra ball.
Hello and welcome to the Jimpressions for Zen Pinball FX3. It's the third one. I don't often talk about Pinball FX, even though I am something of a journeyman pinballsman. That's the official term for a player of pinball, a pinballsman. I say journeyman, I'm not very good at it. I have no idea. I'm so bad at it, I have no idea if this is even good gameplay or not. I just know to hit the paddles and then make the numbers pop up. But I have fun all the same, because I like bright lights, I like numbers popping up telling me that I'm winning things. And look at that, look at all the flashy lights. That's why I like the Pinball FX games. This is the Force Awakens table. All the tables for FX3 that were in the previous FX games have been touched up.
Stand in our way. No one.
And brought over, and if you owned those tables, you can re-download them. That's another reason. Sorry, hold on 1 second, I've just got to point out the voice actors for this table, fucking dire. I don't know how you could get a worse impersonation of Gwendolyn Christie for Phasma, but they found what I think must be the worst. Sounds nothing like her. So anyway, as I was saying, one thing I like about Pinball FX as a series is its business model. In an industry that's full of the many things I've talked about, all the DLC excesses, all the microtransaction BS, all the prize crate nonsense, this is a game that basically you just download it and then pay for whatever bits of game you want. You know, if you like Star Wars, just get the Star Wars pinball tables. If you like Bob's Burgers, then you'll need to get it along with the Archer table and the Family Guy table. But you get an Archer table, and then you can ignore the other ones, so that'll be fine. That's perfectly fine. You know, they have these little packs, but it's just such a really nice business model. I just repeat myself. I really admire the idea of just pay for the game you want without any of the extra, without having to strong arm you either. That's the main point. They're all high quality tables that, I mean, I've always felt, you know, all of this stuff, these little missions and things that normally I have no idea how to do them because I don't sit and read the big long manuals that come with each table explaining what to shoot and where. I don't really learn any of that. I just, like I say, I flip the flippers and watch the numbers happen. And get all excited when I hear Star Wars music, or, you know, what other ones are there? Portal, they got Bethesda games, The Walking Dead, that's a fun little table, although that one I'm absolutely balls at. Oh look, a little trophy. Each one has a trophy. New to this, they're a lot more involved with levelling up and stuff like that. So you can, as you see in the corner here, we've got upgrades that get unlocked as you play, and you can select a limited number of upgrades to get more points for doing certain things. So if there's a certain thing of the pinball that you're good at, and the thing of the pinball is an official term that we pinballsmen use, or pinballswomen, or pinballs, however you want to identify, the thing about pinballsmanship is we are very inclusive. Which ain't bad for a group of people I've just made up. Anyway, as you can see, we're on this Force Awakens table. This is my second go on the Force Awakens table, and I was just quite pleased with how it went. Even if I do find multi-balls very scary, I had fun with the multi-ball on here. It's always a fun thing when lots of little balls fly about. That came out terribly wrong. But the multi-ball thing in pinball, always fun, but always stresses me the hell out, makes me panic. Even more panicky when TIE fighters start whizzing about the place, and I've got multiple balls that I'm juggling. It's very hard to juggle balls when TIE fighters are watching you. That's something you've always got to remember. God damn terrible voices. That's Phasma talking. It took me ages to work out it was Phasma and not just like a Star Destroyer AI computer or something. But anyway, that's besides the point. The point is, I am in an industry that will make you rebuy content over and over again. You know, we've seen this with games that bring sequels out, and, well, we saw it most blatantly with that remastered Call of Duty, where where most remasters will give you a map pack and, you know, all the DLC that was with the original game. Friggin' Modern Warfare Remastered made you buy the map separate. And then we get a game like this, which is already offering this sort of pay-as-you-go model, so they're already not raking it in by the bucket load with big exorbitant upfront payments, or they don't do the microtransactions and stuff like that. They are not raking it in like that, and yet still with Pinball FX3, your purchases carry over. Now, why can't other companies do that? Alright? And I realised that because of my lack of real pinball knowledge means I can't give this a proper in-depth look. I am hinging a lot of this video on business models. Oh, Kylo Ren, why you do me like that? I really like this table though. Bob's Burgers, I need to get on with watching it. I've watched a fair bit of it, but I'm well behind. Very charming show. Rarely makes me do big laugh out louds, but I can always find it very watchable and think, oh, that's a nice show, it's pleasant. And it's been carried through to this pinball table very nicely. It's just got that same sort of, oh, charm to it. The other tables in this pack, you got the Family Guy one, which I nudged the table there to keep the ball in. I always forget to do that, apart from that time, obviously, so it's not always. Only a Sith would deal in absolutes, as our friend Kylo Ren earlier would have... Well, he's not even a Sith, he's a Knight of Ren, which is different from a Sith because of some reasons. Just like the First Order is different from the Empire because of some reasons. Anyway, I often associate the Pinball FX games with Christmas, because when was it when the PS4 came out? And it was near holiday time, around October if I recall correctly. I could be wrong, but it was sort of this tail end of the year. And I never got around to trying the Pinball FX. It was Pinball FX2. Never got around to trying it until around near Christmas time. And I played a lot of the Sorcerer's Lair, which was with it, and got Paranormal. I like a lot of their original tables, but I played the hell out of it around Christmas, especially the Spider-Man table. That one I adored. And it's another thing I like about this is how they have these weird little mini games in there just to keep things interesting. There's a little dungeon crawl thing with Louise here that you just use the flipper controls for. Half of the additional games and quests I find incomprehensible, like I said, but I have fun anyway because the big numbers happen and the characters talk. But yeah, this pack is good for the Bob's Burgers one. The Family Guy one I didn't try. The Archer one's okay, but I expected a little bit more. I've always got time for this one. The original tables that Zen do are pretty damn good, I feel. They always put in just as much effort for that stuff as they do for the licensed stuff. I feel like sometimes they're even better, I think. And I really like a lot of the licensed stuff. The Doom and the Fallout and the Skyrim ones I really enjoy. Like I said, I like the Telltale one. And I like how they throw in lots of little things in each table that are reminiscent of the properties they're based on. Like with Skyrim, you actually have a character that you level up and stuff like that, and it carries over from games. And Doom has missions based on, Doom. And what I would like, actually, is a modern Doom like they've got, and also a classic Doom. That would be nice. But they just have the modern Doom, which is good enough, because that's a damn fine game. Damn fine game. Thank you very much. Very much like this game. And what was I going to say? Someone said this is going to be a very poor replacement for reviews because of how sidetracked I get and how conversational it is. And they're right. It's a terrible replacement for reviews. That's why I like doing them, because I quit doing reviews. Which is good, because I would never be able to do a review for a game like this, because like I say, pinball isn't my particular forte. I just really like Zen Pinball FX. And I just like messing about on the tables and making the silver ball plop about. And that's not much of a review. I can't sit down for a written review and say, right, I like flipping the balls about, give me the big numbers, please. Also, sometimes there is a bad Captain Phasma. Not much of a review, is it? This is coverage, which will get just as much views as any of the fucking reviews I did. And I still get to show off a game that I really love, but don't necessarily have the knowledge base to talk about in great detail. I can just say, hey, come look at me play this game and do not terrifically at it while I tell you I like it. And we can do that with some games I don't like. And I'm sure we will at some point. I mean, the PlayStation Network is still putting out some real dreck sometimes. And a new laptop should be arriving today so I can start doing Switch games again. But anyway, back to Zen Pinball FX. Multi-ball again, very confusing, very frightening for me. It's too much. It's too much for me to take in. And that's not something I often say about bowls, multiple or otherwise. That was a fun little joke I did there. Skip ahead there. You don't need to see that little theatre thing again. It was even the same one. There are multiple little theatre things that play in that area, but it was the rat one again. And there we are. We got 3 bowls in the skirt, and that gives us another trophy, which is nice. Each table has a specific thing to do to get a trophy. And again, I don't read up on them, so I get a nice surprise like I did there. You know, it's a nice surprise for me that I get a trophy. Oh, isn't that fun? And that's how I like to play these games, which again would make me a terrible reviewer of them, but a perfect Jimpersonator for them. I mean, that wouldn't Jimpersonator, it doesn't really work. But the point is, this game has lots of bright colours, which makes it work really well on an HD TV. I often said one of the great tragedies of the last generation is HD TV became the norm, and so many games got really dark and grey and murky. And many of them still looked graphically impressive, but there's a reason I always said Viva Pinata was the best looking game of the last generation, and I wasn't being facetious. It was bright and the colours contrasted really nicely. There was this sort of clash to it, and it created a really bright, beautiful looking visual effect, which worked better on HD TV than the grey miserable stuff, at least as far as I'm concerned. And as far as I'm concerned, it's the only concern that you need to worry about, thank you very much. And that's why Viva Pinata is one of the best looking games ever, because HD pops with colours, especially your bright garish ones. That is why I watch a Blu-ray of Rocky Horror Picture Show, now there's a pinball table, and am more impressed with that than I would be with some of that DC stuff that's just a dark, visually inconceivable nightmare of ocular oblivion. But very much like good games that take advantage of HD TV, especially in today's 4K world, Pinball FX3 is that bright, cheerful slice of visual dazzle that I appreciate. And like I said, as well as the fact that each table is uniquely designed, has very involved missions, and are almost universally a blast to play, I for one just truly appreciate seeing a game that isn't desperately embarrassingly trying to prise open the customer's wallet after purchase to see what extra little coins it can scoop up in its talons and scurry off with like a cockroach in the night. That's something to be treasured these days, don't you think? Not the sort of treasure you'd find in a... I won't mention them.
Extra ball!